What can your party do to check this?
Well, really, Kailey, thank you so much for having me once again. Let's be very clear. It takes 3 House Republicans to stop Elon Musk and his DOGE bags from rummaging through millions of Americans' personal information when it comes to their IRS records, their Social Security numbers, their financial information, their most significant personal information. Elon Musk's DOGE drones are rummaging through all of that information and have unchecked power to do whatever they want. They're indiscriminately firing people, and what Caroline Levitt just said on your clip there is absolutely not true. They are randomly firing people who are not political employees. They're firing probationary employees, and they're doing so in violation of the law, specifically because many of these people have gotten glowing reviews based on their performance, and they are actually prohibited from dismissing people for things other than performance-related questions. So they are violating the law, and most importantly, they are gravely harming the quality of life and the health of so many people, particularly our veterans, where they just fired over 1,000 people at the VA, all while the VA is struggling with a dearth of employees and really need to make sure that they have the staffing that they need to implement the PACT Act, which Congress passed just a couple of years ago.
They're calling it the Valentine's Day Massacre, the thousands of probationary employees who were laid off, in many cases by voicemail and email over the weekend. Congresswoman, we saw a number of tenured employees fired as well, resulting in the top official at the Social Security Administration to step down. Also stepping down over the weekend, Jim Jones, head of the food division at the FDA. He issued a statement. This is, by the way, the same person who moved to ban red dye number 3 earlier this year. Issued a statement saying, given the new administration's disdain for the very people needed to make these changes, it would be fruitless for me to continue in this role. To what extent, if any, are we going to see interruptions in government services?
We're going to see further interruptions at the VA in particular nearly immediately. Like I said, we already have a shortage of employees and a $6 billion shortfall that the VA just let Congress know that we need to fill in order to make sure that we can provide the services that the law requires, the health care that is vital for these toxic, exposed veterans who served in battles all over the world and were exposed to vicious toxins that are making them sick. And now Trump and Musk come in and take a hatchet to the ability for us to provide those services to our veterans. So many of those, Joe, are veterans themselves. 1/3 of the employees in the federal government are veterans. So just when we have an opportunity to make sure that we are taking care of those that defended themselves, that helped defend our country, Donald Trump and Elon Musk and his cronies are indiscriminately firing people. They're requiring spouses of active duty military to come back to the office. I'm all for people coming to work. But when you have a military spouse who is able to work remotely for the federal government so she can be with her children and her spouse in where they're deployed rather than, at the federal agency office in Washington, that's how we take care of our people. And Donald Trump is not only not taking care of our people, but he's denying them health care. He's going in and making it harder for people to get Social Security benefits. And he's allowing DOGE to rummage through people's personal information. To what end? It is very disturbing that kind of personal information for millions of Americans is being allowed to be accessed by nameless, faceless DOGE employees with no understanding of what they're planning to do with that information.
Well, Congresswoman, I'd like to ask you about something else for when you return to Washington, given that you sit on the Appropriations Committee. We're now less than a month out from the deadline to keep the government funded. Do you have an understanding of what the plan is to avoid that?
The ball, Kailey, is in the Republicans' court. We have a March 14th deadline. That's about 3 weeks from now. And we don't have an agreement on the top line funding amount. The speaker has said something about kicking the can down the road and doing a full year CR, which would jeopardize our national security. That's hugely damaging to the Department of Defense funding that's so vital. It makes it difficult for us to make sure that we can fund the healthcare needs of the American people. The Republicans need to come to the table, and they need to sit down across the aisle. If they leave this to appropriators, we're going to be able to get this done because that's our expertise. We know how to sort things out. But the Republicans, or three of them, need to come to the table and sort this out so that we can pass a full year budget and make sure that we can take care of the American people and move on to the FY26 budget, which we're supposed to be starting imminently.